Imagine a world where facts have been censored, debate is silenced, and asking questions makes you dangerous. We are living in it, and it's called misinformation. This world, we hear it over and over again, but have you ever stopped to think about it? Who chooses what is misinformation or not? Who is in charge of saying this is misinformation and this is the real information? And why does it seem that misinformation only applies to certain topics? Let's break it down. Misinformation is supposed to mean false information or information that is not true. But there are certain topics that we can't debate. There are certain topics that when we talk about it, it is labeled misinformation. Have you ever wondered why some certain posts is being taken down? I mean, your social media platform. I have personally experienced it because I'm someone that's very passionate about vaccines. And I'm like a lot of people during the 2020 COVID-19 era coming out to say, oh, I've been injured by this particular vaccine. I've been injured by this particular vaccine. Many people, in fact, there was an old documentary that's been dedicated for the vaccine injured. But guess what? It wasn't on social media platform. I don't want to mention them, especially YouTube. It was taken down. And guess the reason why? Because it's misinformation. Take a listen to this.
Hi everyone. Unfortunately, YouTube has taken down the COVID-19 vaccine injury compilation video I uploaded to my channel. And I can't say that I'm surprised, but I am a little bit confused as to how it's considered misinformation when all I did was string together clips that have already existed on YouTube for over 1 to 2 years, and even since the pandemic had started. To my delight, though, the video did generate over 630,000 views. It generated over 30,000 likes and over 14,000+ comments within the span of a month and a half. But yeah, it is a shame that YouTube took this video down.
Yeah, the video was taken down. I mean, it was labeled misinformation, and that got me thinking, how is it misinformation? These were people, real evidence of vaccine injured people coming out to share their stories, and he just did a compilation of it. I experienced it personally because I had a compilation, like a documentary of people just to create awareness. You know, it's crazy how it's been brought down and it's labeled misinformation. So that got me thinking, what really is misinformation? And I did my research. You know, you don't post something except like the fact checkers already checked it. And who are these fact checkers? Who are these people? Because we can't see them. You're talking about fact checkers, why real people go through real challenge. We have real people that went through this phase and now start sharing their experience just as a form of awareness to others. And it's labeled misinformation. I find that very dehumanizing because these are people's experiences. And it's just been shut down as misinformation because it didn't meet the official truth. In this world where we live in, there is what we call an official truth. And if this particular information you're trying to pass online doesn't go through or align with this narrative, this official truth, it is labeled misinformation. And yeah, you know, you might be going through a lot of experiences as a person. It doesn't matter. Really, it doesn't matter what you're going through. As far as if you go on any search engine, look for the condition. If it doesn't meet the criteria of what the search engine or the official truth that these so-called fact checkers and scientists have given you, it's then labeled misinformation. Now the question is, who are the people in charge of this misinformation? Who are the people that have been authorized to say, this is false information and this is real information? We can start with the fact checkers. During the COVID-19 era, I became more introduced with the so-called fact checkers. You say anything online, especially the lab leak theory. I really want to go into this because I have a lot I want to go into, but let's start with these fact checkers. I want you to take a listen to a video of expert. This is what an expert is saying. This is not really related to vaccines, but I want to show you a pattern that these are particular people that are fact checkers. These are people that are supposed to fact check the information we put online. if it's true or false. Take a listen to this.
How exactly does a man get pregnant?
Is that a serious question? Ask Dr. Pouchard.
Dr. Pouchard, are you qualified to be here?
I have a degree.
Excuse me, Dr. Pouchard. A man can get pregnant?
They certainly can.
This doesn't make any sense to me.
You think it's wrong, Senator?
I'm not convinced.
With all due respect, sir, I'm the expert here.
There's not many holes for a baby to come out.
Called rectal births or butt babies. In some places, it's called rearing a child.
Time for celebration, reflection, and confusion.
Wow, it's funny. She said, I am the expert here, meaning that shut up. Don't use your head, don't use your brain. I am the expert here, and I said men can get pregnant. I mean, these are the kind of experts that we follow. So when you hear they come on air, the mainstream media come out to say, oh, expert says this and fact checkers say this. These are the fact checkers, guys. These are the kind of people that are fact checking our information and authorizing which one is misinformation and which one is the real information. Now let's talk about the lab leak theory. Remember in 2020 when COVID-19 started, and they gave us a narrative. They said, oh, this particular flu came out from bats to humans. That is how all the flu have been coming out. No. And people start to speculate. I think this disease came from a lab. I think COVID-19 came from a lab. Many so-called experts came out to say, oh, shut up. That is conspiracy theories. No, it never came from a lab. It came from bat to human. This is the truth. And think about it. Once you post anything contrary to the official truth that this so-called expert already said, the official truth is no possibility that it can come from a lab. In fact, I want you to take a listen to Dr. Fauci. Back then in 2020, he was heading the National Institute for Infectious Diseases in the United States of America. Here is his answer to someone asking him if the lab leak theory was a possibility. Here is what his response was. Take a listen.
One topic in the news lately has been the origins of SARS-CoV-2. I mean, do you believe, or is there evidence that SARS-CoV-2 was made in a lab in China or accidentally released from a lab in China?
Well, there's two issues. If you look at the evolution of the virus in bats and what's out there now, it's very, very strongly leaning towards this could not have been artificially or deliberately manipulated, the way the mutations have naturally evolved. A number of very qualified evolutionary biologists have said that everything about the stepwise evolution over time strongly indicates that it evolved in nature and then jumped species. One of the issues of saying, could that virus that was in, first of all, if you accept the premise, which is very strongly supported by scientific evidence, that it was not deliberately mutated and deliberately changed. And you say, if it was in the wild and evolving, the likelihood it jumped species naturally. Someone will say, well, maybe somebody took it from the wild, put it in the lab, and then it escaped from the lab. But that means it was in the wild to begin with. So that's why I don't get what they're talking about. If it isn't manipulated in the lab and you're trying to say it escaped from the lab, then how did it get in the lab? It got in the lab because somebody isolated it from the environment. So that's the reason why I don't spend a lot of time going in that circular argument.
Okay, you can hear it. He said it can never be created artificially. No, that is crazy. Don't think about it. It can never come from a lab. It's natural, from bats to humans. Why would you even think about it? It's funny. He was even laughing because that misinformation didn't come from a lab. No, it's natural. But guess what? Fast forward to 2023. This same person expert that came out to say it can never come from a lab. In fact, there is no possibility. It has to be from the wild. Now, he then refuses his statement. Guess what? He was caught trying to downplay that this particular virus came from a lab. It actually did came from a lab. And guess what? I want you to take a listen to his hearing because he was brought to a particular committee, subcommittee in 2023 after his emails were leaked, trying to suppress the lab leak theory. He was himself trying to suppress it. Then these emails he was sending to the scientists back and forth was leaked. And then he was brought to a committee to defend himself. And here is what he has to say. Take a listen.
Dr. Anthony Fauci testifying in a House hearing that the Wuhan lab leak isn't just a Republican conspiracy theory after all.
Actually, I've also been very, very clear and said multiple times that I don't think the concept of there being a lab leak is inherently a conspiracy theory.
Do you know where COVID-19 came from? Do you know if there's a better chance that it started out in some wet market or that it is from a lab leak?
We don't know definitively where or how the virus evolved. We don't know that. And I have kept an open mind from day one about keeping all possibilities open. There are two possibilities. One, somehow it was worked on in a lab and leaked out. And the other, it was a natural occurrence from the wet market in Wuhan. If you look at the data that are available, it's more likely that it came from a natural occurrence from the wet market.
So it came from a wet market in the same place where there's this huge lab that does all the kind of development of exactly what this thing is? That's some coincidence.
It's a coincidence, but you know, there are so many labs all over China that have both labs and wet markets.
Wow, so he just said now, oh, I never said that. I never said that he couldn't come out from a lab. In fact, I've been open to the possibility of it coming out from a lab. What are you talking about? We have your record in. You said there's no possibility. You said it. So these are I just want to show you the character, like the pattern of the experts we are supposed to follow. These are the people that are experts, fact checkers, checking our information, deciding which is true or which is false. Now, next time when you hear about misinformation, I want you to think hard and think, is it really misinformation or does it just not go with the official truth? We have a lot to talk about misinformation. Misinformation on climate change, misinformation on gender dysphoria, misinformation on all of these controversial topics. So join me next time. Subscribe, share, like, and let's discuss more on misinformation. Bye.